Good morning. Happy Thursday morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us for Career Rise's September webinar in the Untapped Workforce webinar series. So today, our Untapped Workforce webinar series will focus on a topic that I think a lot of us have heard about and deal with every day. That's the subject of being able to commute to and from work. We have some partners who will be sharing some information with us today, but would love to have you introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know your name, what organization you're with, and what part of the state you're from. Morning, good morning. Laura, good to see you. Lots of representatives from our technical college system. Always good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Elder Linda Simmons, good to see you. Winston, good to see you as well. Charlene, I'm just calling out familiar names as I see them. So, you know how it is in the workforce development family. We're all kind of a small niche group. And so when you see familiar faces, it's always like a small family reunion. This morning, we have a welcome from one of our great WorkSource partners, and then we will have a presentation from our partners at Arcadis and Georgia Commute Options, talking about transportation demand management and how that can provide some solutions to one of the greatest barriers and challenges that many people in the workforce face as it comes to finding and maintaining employment, which is transportation. The Atlanta metro region, if you live in around near there, you know that it is difficult on even the best days to get where you need to go on time. I personally feel that because I live in Dawsonville, and if I need to travel to Atlanta, I have to be very strategic about my timing and try to be very thoughtful about how I get there and when I get there. So we'll have a really great presentation from our friends at Arcadis and Georgia Commute Options talking about that subject exactly. We'll have some updates for you from the Career Rise team, and then we'll wrap up and get you out of here by 11 o'clock. So in case this is your first time attending Career Rise's monthly webinar series, welcome. You have actually tuned in at an interesting point because this is the last of our scheduled Untapped Workforce Series webinars. But regardless, we're happy to have you here. This webinar series is brought to you in partnership with WorkSource Georgia and the Technical College System of Georgia. In case you're unfamiliar, WorkSource Georgia is the state's federally funded employment and training system and provides individuals who have barriers, as well as local businesses, with Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act services across the state. This webinar series is funded by the Quest Dislocated Worker Grant. The Quest Dislocated Worker Grant is an acronym. Quest stands for Quality Jobs, Equity, Strategy, and Training Dislocated Worker Grant. This grant was awarded to the state of Georgia in fall of 2022 as a result of a response to the pandemic and the effect that that had on our economy and our labor force. And this webinar series was produced in order to help workforce professionals and employers tap into some of those populations, some of those groups that were still disconnected from the workforce, but were interested in wanting to get back into work. So The Quest Dislocated Worker Grant provides funding and supports to help unemployed and underemployed workers enter, return to, or advance in high-quality jobs in the state's critical and growing sectors. So thank you to WorkSource Georgia and TCSG for a great partnership over the last 16 months on this project, and looking forward to future opportunities to collaborate in lots of other ways. It's now my pleasure to introduce our WorkSource welcome. Mr. Rossell Hall is the Business Services Manager with the City of Atlanta. So Rossell, if you'd like to turn on your camera and mic and give us a little bit of a welcome this morning, kick us off.
All right. Thank you, Nate, and the rest of the Career Rise team for this opportunity. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rossell Hall. I am the Business Services Manager for the City of Atlanta Department of Labor and Employment Services. Our department was the vision of Mayor Andre Dickens to provide more in-depth workforce services to the citizens of Atlanta. Our department is led by Commissioner John Flanagan, who has years of executive level experience, not only in the Pittsburgh area, but also in the Tampa area as well. Under our department, we have several different offices, such as our workforce services that primarily responds or has WIOA funding and training for those individuals who may need it. Signature programs that we carry the Summer Youth Employment Program, as well as the Outreach and Business Engagement. We also have our labor relations education, and they advocate for fair labor practices for all employees, and our administrative services, which handles our compliance. So, again, that makes up our Department of Labor and Employment Services. As we celebrate Workforce Development Month, we have an exciting and dynamic topic today, talking about improving job access through commuting. As a commuter myself, I find this definitely engaging topic and wanting to learn more. If you are a job seeker or a business and you want to learn more about our resources, please visit atlworks.org. And we thank you for this opportunity. And Nate, I will turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Rossell. Good to hear from you and see you as always. Next, I would like to introduce our guest speakers this morning. Joining us, we have Nicole Karsten and Shayla Cato with Arcadis. Nicole Karsten is the communications manager with Arcadis, and my apologies, I misspoke. Shayla Cato is the worksite advisor for Georgia Commute Options. So Nicole and Shayla, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Nate. So good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. As Nate said, I am Nicole Karsten. I am a communications managing consultant at Arcadis, currently supporting Georgia Commute Options. Prior to being with Arcadis, I spent over 15 years in workforce development over at WorkSource Cobb. So I can relate to a lot of some of the barriers that you all work with your clients. I totally understand. And the passion I have now working in mobility and seeing the connection between those two and how we can really bridge that gap for those underserved, underskilled people who are trying to get to and from work. With me today, I brought Shayla Cato. She knows all the ins and outs of GCO and how we can support employers. So Shayla, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Nicole. My name is Shayla. I work with Georgia Commute Options as a worksite advisor, and what that entails is working directly with employers to bridge that gap in transportation, as well as support them in their efforts for sustainable commutes and practices. And so working directly with employers would include putting together carpool programs, van pool programs, talking a little bit more about compressed work weeks for essential workers, maybe cutting down from 5 days a week to 4 days a week, and talking about telework with some of our non-essential workers that may be able to work from home. So again, I work directly with employers and do a lot of outreach to promote the Georgia Commute Options Program and bridge that transportation gap. And so I'm just here to assist Nicole and talk more about that program and give you guys the rundown.
Thanks, Shayla. So about GCO, or Georgia Commute Options, I want to dive into first a little bit about Georgia Commute Options and who they are. So Georgia Commute Options is managed by the Atlanta Regional Commission, but funded by the Georgia Department of Transportation by way of the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program. So a lot of you workforce folks may be familiar that the federal funding comes down to a larger organization. So in this case, it comes from the Federal Highway Administration down to Georgia Department of Transportation. And then the program is implemented via Georgia Commute Options, which is under the umbrella of the Atlanta Regional Commission. So what's the goals here? That we aim to reduce traffic congestion and contribute to hopefully lowering emissions. This is done through transportation demand management, or TDM. Just like workforce, there's a lot of acronyms. So feel free at the end when we have questions, if you want a little more explanation, we'll hopefully provide those, but we will be referring to TDM. And essentially, TDM is the umbrella term we use for programs that work to make transportation more accessible and efficient, with the goal of reducing congestion and improving air quality. So if you hear us refer to TDM, that's what we're talking about. So GCO works with employers, commuters, community organizations, and schools to reduce the number of solo drivers across a 20-county region. So you see the map here. This is highlighting the region of GCO's program services. Currently, this is the concentrated around the city of Atlanta. Potentially in the future, this could expand, but this is the current service area. So what do? We provide free services to motivate and incentivize people to choose cleaner commute options. So GCO recognizes that empowering commuters is vital for job success. So Georgia Commute Option programming makes getting to work easier, cheaper, and less stressful. They expand the options people have to access and keep jobs. They work to increase the percentage of trips that occur in transit, carpooling, biking, and walking over time. So trying to get more people to and from their jobs using an alternative mode of transportation rather than just driving alone. And they provide technical assistance for telework, hybrid, and alternative work arrangements. So if your organization wants to implement a hybrid work schedule and don't know where to start, Georgia Commute Options is there to help you. So now I'll take a few minutes to look at the region and what we know now and what we project for the future. The Atlanta region is booming. I think we all see it, we feel it. And TDM is a key method that for ARC and its partners is using to improve regional mobility. We know that the demand for mobility options and pressure on our current transportation system will continue to rise with projected population growth. ARC has forecasted that over the next 30 years, we will bring 1.8 million new residents to this region. That's like adding the entire metropolitan Denver to Atlanta, which will bring us to 7.5 million people in total, roughly the current size of metropolitan Dallas. The map to the right shows that the highest rates of growth represented by the darker shades. So you can see up in Cherokee and Bartow, Paulding, and then even the south areas, these darker areas, the darker green, darker blues. That's the outer edges of this region, which will add to the complex transportation challenges we're facing today. These challenges are related to mobility barriers, insufficient infrastructure, changes in job trends, and an aging population. ARC recently completed an update to its regional transportation demand management plan. And to grossly oversimplify what the plan is, because it's very comprehensive and covers a lot of things, the regional plan set out to understand how people were moving around the region, what was motivating their travel choices, why they were taking one route versus another, why they were in one car by themselves, and then also where there are opportunities to improve mobility. The plan illuminated quite a few important points when it comes to how our current transportation options do or do not serve our growing workforce. Okay, so what did we learn? So I'm going to highlight a few of those. First of all, the analysis exposed weaknesses of our current transportation and mobility systems as they relate to underserved populations. It did also, however, present some opportunities as well. But to share, 17% of the region census tracts were high scoring on the traditionally underserved index. These populations are located throughout the region and are traditionally missed by TDM programs focused in employment hubs. So a lot of TDM programs are focused where transit is, in the centralized pathway of the city. So this map you can see to the left, it shows the density of transit stops per square mile. As you can see, our transit network is concentrated in the region core. However, low and mid-earning job locations are dispersed throughout the periphery. You may also recall from the first map we showed that the highest rates of growth are well outside of the shaded areas. So if you remember where we saw Cherokee, we saw Bartow, we saw Paulding, all of those are in those darker population density for the future. Now where our transportation hubs are not currently in those locations. So also folks working outside of the traditional 9-to-5 work schedule, so those working late shifts, night shifts, tend to be more prevalent in underserved areas and in areas of the periphery of the region where there isn't as much transit service. 30% of commuters in the 20-county region commute outside the hours of 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. In tracts with untraditionally underserved index score of 3 or more, 33% of commuters are off-peak commuters compared to 29% of commuters in other tracts. So our analysis also told us a lot about the mobility barriers throughout the region. Some of these, I think, anecdotally, we all sort of recognize and probably know, but we did do the data behind it. So not owning a car significantly limits opportunities and amenities people can access in the region. Transportation expenses are a significant portion of the cost of living after housing. So especially for households that are already cost burdened and spending more than 30% of their incomes on housing. Many people live or work in areas that are not served by public transportation, or they commute off-peak, so overnight shift, like I mentioned before, and transit schedules don't align with their needs. Or they work just beyond the reach of transit, so with no options to take them to that first or last mile to and from work. So maybe they work within a transit location, but they live just beyond being able to get to transit. So that first mile getting to transit, or potentially they work in transit and then live in transit and then work outside. So that last mile. Many people live or work in outside. Remember the map we showed before? So it's only going to get more and more concentrated outside of our transit hub. Language barriers or lack of technology access also make it more difficult for people to access information on available services. So having language translations. All right. As TDM practitioners, we know we can't achieve our goals on our own. Partnerships are critical to creating mobility connections and expanding opportunity equitably. Working together with public and community partners like workforce development programs can improve access to TDM services for underserved communities. Organizations like many of you that are present today are often centered on meeting the needs of the same populations we're aiming to reach. We are both focused on bringing solutions to the same challenges as it relates to mobility and the workforce. So working together, working smarter, not harder. All right, so we talked a little bit about who GCO is. Then we talked about, okay, what do we see in the region as it relates to mobility and how people are getting to and from work and the challenges there. So now we're going to talk about how do we overcome that and how do we do that together. So before we talk about how to overcome commute-related issues, I want to highlight why this should be a concern for employers. This is the average commute time workers spend commuting by day, by week, by year. So each year, people are spending at least 10 days of their time commuting to and from work. And I'll also point out that these are national averages. And we all probably know that Atlanta consistently ranks the top of these lists. So some of the worst congestion and commute times nationally. So this average probably doesn't even touch what we're experiencing here in our own region. That is a lot of time out of people's lives. Ignoring the potential financial costs of those commutes, so the gas, the wear and tear on your car, the oil changes, that is a lot of additional investment in time people are making to arrive at their jobs each and every day. While it's always nice to confirm our assumptions, we all know these things to be true. And as a transportation demand management practitioner, as leaders at your organizations, as workforce development professionals, and just as humans who live and work in various communities around the region, we know transportation affects job access. It keeps people from taking jobs they otherwise would be qualified for or needed in, and potentially causes otherwise good employees to lose jobs. And here on the screen, here are just a few things that we heard directly from workers: that employers don't offer adequate commute support, that unreliable transportation can mean being late to work, missed shifts, and an inability to continue to access a job. Complicated, reliable transportation options will keep workers from applying for or accepting a new job. So it could be your dream job, but you start to look at, how am I going to get there? And then maybe it's no longer an option. And that can mean a lot to someone who's trying to bring themselves up, upskill themselves, and find a job that offers a more livable wage. So our goal is to help your workforce or your customers find a more reliable, less stressful way to get to work. The modes of travel you see here are the ones we focus on through Georgia Commute Options. Commuters signed up with MyGCO can use the platform to plan their commute by any one of the methods you see on your screen. So, can you take transit, potentially carpool? Can you bike to work if you're close by? Simply adding your starting and end location, the platform will display the variety of options and the length of time of travel for each mode. On top of that, commuters can earn incentives each time they take an alternate mode of travel from driving alone. So you sign up for the program, you can go on there. I've done it and looked at, it gives you the travel times. Like if I take transit, this is how long. If I want to carpool, here's the number of people within certain mile range that I could carpool with. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, we know access to a vehicle is one major barrier for individuals obtaining and retaining employment. Supporting these individuals and providing commute planning and options can help alleviate this burden. More than 70% of the metro region's commuters have access to a transit route within 15 minutes of their home. As you can see on this map, MARTA, Express, CobbLink, and Gwinnett County Transit provide transit service to more than 13 counties in the Atlanta region. There are also additional operators that provide hyper local micro transit and private shuttle options to help individuals with that first and last mile connection, either from home to transit to then get to work, or from work to transit home. or both. Carpooling is another alternative transportation option available to commuters. Employers can also set up internal programs for carpooling or van pools for their staff. So an individual can go on, sign up for MyGCO, and find their own carpoolers, or if an employer becomes a partner, they can set up their own carpool strategy within their own team, their own staff. Currently, there are more than 20,000 carpoolers registered with MyGCO, so commuters can find their own matches through the platform. MyGCO's enhanced carpool matching technology makes ride sharing convenient and accessible. Smart ride matching tools within the dashboard makes finding and messaging with the carpool partner easy. And a bonus, carpoolers can receive added benefits and rewards. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But MyGCO also offers the Guaranteed Ride Home program for individuals to get home when an unexpected event occurs. So even if you're choosing to carpool, you may have that fear of, I have school kids, what if one gets sick? That's where the Guaranteed Ride Home would come in and support you being able to get home outside of that carpool schedule. MyGCO platform is open to anyone looking to find an alternative commute. However, our team of worksite advisors, like Shayla we have today, work directly with employers to create a comprehensive commuter benefits package that supports your goals to help you retain staff, meet sustainability goals, and save money. Setting up an internal commute program can seem daunting, but our team can support your organization with educational workshops, customized commuter program recommendations and support, and resources and education on commuter tax benefits. So you're not just helping your team, you're also helping your organization as a whole, creating that enhanced work-life balance for your employees. So not only is GCO trying to support our local workforce by offering a platform for planning their commute, they're also encouraging commuters to take alternative modes by providing incentives. So as you drive less, you earn more. Some of those incentives are listed here. So for example, we have the Give Me 5 program. If you currently drive alone to work, you can explore clean commuting, such as carpooling, van pooling, public transit, bicycling, or walking, to earn $5 a day with a maximum reward of $150 over a designated 90-day period. All you need to do is log clean commutes. You have the flexibility to cash out at various intervals throughout the Give Me 5 experience. So for instance, $25 after 5 days of clean commutes. $25 prizes. For every clean commute trip logged, you are automatically entered into a random monthly drawing for a chance to win a $25 reward. The frequency of entries increases the number of commutes logged, enhancing the likelihood of being selected in the drawing. So the more you log a clean commute, the more you're put into the drawing. And before I worked for Georgia Commute Options, I was signed up for the program, and I can attest to this. The program's changed a little bit, but I won, I think 3 times over a yearly period. So there are options to win. It isn't a prize in disguise. So for carpool rewards, so this is specifically just for those that are carpooling, earn cash. You and your carpool must log at least 8 days per month, and the size of the award increases based on the carpool size. So for instance, if there's 2 people in a carpool, 2 people constitutes a carpool, then you can receive $5 per person, up to 4 people in the car. And then lastly, there's also the Guaranteed Ride Home. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you can redeem up to 5 rides home to your home or car from work each year. So you'll receive instant access to your first ride then once you first start, and then you must log at least 8 clean commutes, round trip commutes, before unlocking your remaining 4 rides. So I know there's some hesitancy about, if I carpool, what if my kid gets sick? What can I do? I'm going to be stuck at work. I'm not going to be able to get home. And this is one way to support those workers that are choosing a cleaner commute, is to help guarantee a ride home if those events should occur. And then additional commuter perks. So for any mode, you'll have access to discounts for both local and national businesses when you log a minimum of 5 days of clean commutes per month. So teleworking, if you're teleworking 3 days a week, you're logging commutes, then you have the option and access to these additional commuter perks. And then I ran through that very quickly. If people have any questions, we can always go back and look at any one of the slides. Again, I have Shayla here to help. If you have questions about, what does a commuter benefit program look like in an employment setting? How can you support your customers that they're looking for a new job, but now how are they going to get there? How are they going to maintain getting there if they do or do not have a vehicle? So now, please, if you have any questions, Shayla and I are happy to help answer those.
Everyone, if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat, or you can raise your hand and we'll allow you to come off of mute to ask it out loud. I do see a question from Denise Smith, and I think this is back to the amount that can be earned through the app. She was asking, is it $5 per day up to $150 in 90 days or in 30 days?
I believe it's up to 90 days. So 100, you can earn up to $150 over a 90-day designated period.
Got it. Denise, hopefully that answers your question. Perfect. Thank you. I'm curious, do we have any employers on the call? And if you are an employer, do you hear from your employees that commuting is a challenge? Or are you hearing in your company that commuting back and forth from work is a challenge for them? All right. Doesn't look like we have any other questions or comments right now, Nicole. If anyone in our audience wanted to learn more about Georgia commute options, how would they go about doing that?
So I'll let Shayla talk a little bit about if you're an employer and you want to implement a program within your organization, how you can go about doing that. And then also kind of maybe what it looks like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Shayla?
Well, I personally work with a lot of employers that are essential workers, and so the biggest need that I've been seeing working with employers is around van pools. A lot of these employers have hundreds of employees. Some have transportation, and many do not. Some take public transportation, and some have access to it, and some don't. So what we've been seeing is a lot of need for around van pooling and getting people together to ride together. We're having conversations around carpool as well, where we may come down to the work site, talk directly with employees, set up in the break room, or we may have a open house of some kind, maybe an open enroll. During open enrollment, we'll come down and talk to the employees about the benefits of joining our service. And how employees earn those benefits is by joining on our platform. They have to fill out a profile indicating where they work and all of those different things. And then from there, they'll be able to find a carpool partner within the app. So anytime we're talking carpool with an employer, we like to come down, talk with the employees, get them signed up in the app, and then that way they're able to find someone that may work on their shift or someone that works in the metro area who may be interested in carpooling with them. When it comes to working and talking about van pools, we work directly with Commute with Enterprise. We bring in Commute with Enterprise to have that discussion with leadership. And then from there, our representative with Commute with Enterprise just kind of breaks down the costs and the discounts and tax benefits that come along with creating a van pool. And right now, what they're doing is 7-passenger crossover SUVs. One that stands out to me is working with the Better Business Bureau. They have 3 vans up and running right now. They relocated from Midtown up to Alpharetta, and so they wanted to make sure that their employees had a reliable way to get to and from work because they were reliant on some of the metro area transit that they no longer had access to when they moved to Alpharetta. So the BBB was willing to fully subsidize those vans, and then have those employees travel to and from work utilizing those van pools. And they've been working just fine, and everybody's seeing the benefit as well as the costs and savings that they see around taking a van pool. So what I like to do is schedule an initial meeting, talk about what issues, if any, that there are with that employer, talk about what the employees have been concerned with as far as their commute is concerned, and just kind of break it down from there and go from there to see where we can kind of start. I've been recently working with KIP, Strive, schools on carpooling, and we just did 3 carpool parking spots that are designated only for carpool, because they have not so much a commute issue, but they're having issues with parking. They have very small parking lots in front of the schools, and they don't have enough spots for everyone. So they're trying to promote something sustainable that'll put some extra money in the employee's pocket, as well as alleviate the burden of the parking issue. So it just really depends on what the issue is and how we can approach that issue. But it starts with an initial meeting to talk about all of that, all of the services that we offer, and then talk about those issues that they may be having.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that really helps to give an idea of what it might look like for an employer to implement some of these services, and how we might be able to help people get to work. Luke Fletcher, he's with Construction Ready, asked, can the program be used for students participating in education or training programs?
That is a great question, and one Nate and I have been not battling with, but trying to figure a way around or with, to support all of our folks in workforce development training programs. Currently, it is federal funding, and as a lot of you know, there's a lot of guidelines with what you can and can't do. And currently, the funding is for jobs, so people to get to and from work. We are trying to assess if that still qualifies if someone maybe is in an apprenticeship program. One of the things that we are working with CareerRise currently is to set up how can we help support those folks that are going through training, even if we can't directly promote Georgia Commute Options getting to and from their training. How can we help support them and start having that conversation for once they're out of training, once they need that job, and start thinking about their commute to and from their new job? But some of that is having conversations with starting your own carpool. You can talk to other students or other people that are in your program that maybe have the same schedule as you, to where you start to become more comfortable in riding together. That offsets expenses for both of you, or maybe one person has the vehicle and the other one doesn't. Maybe they help to support with some of the gas back and forth. So starting to have those sort of conversations throughout training that aren't necessarily directly tied to Georgia Commute Options and the incentives, but starts getting that conversation going. Hopefully that answered your question. And again, if anyone wants more information on how Georgia Commute Option can help your program, maybe start to become implemented in your centers, or how you can create a benefits commuter package within your an organization, you can contact info@gacommuteoptions.com. Any other questions?
Look like it. Well, Nicole, Shayla, thank you both so much for joining us today and for sharing information about Georgia Commute Options. Really excited about uh, the partnership between our organizations and how we can help support with one of job seekers and businesses' greatest challenges, which is how do we get people who want to work to work? So thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it, Nate. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, we have a few updates for you from the Career Rise team. First, just a reminder about our partnership as well with United Way of Greater Atlanta on Career Ready ATL. Career Ready ATL is a youth apprenticeship program designed to help in-school students get paid work experience in companies around the Metro Atlanta area. We're currently focused on identifying employers around Fulton County, around the high schools of Banneker High School, Tri-Cities High School, and the Fulton College and Career Academy. So kind of that East Point, College Park area near the airport. Looking for employers who are open to having conversations with us about how we can help you fill your talent, your talent pipeline needs by creating some youth apprenticeships. We have some young people who are really excited about the opportunity to get some work experience in an industry, use what they're learning in the classroom, and to make an impact in a business. So if you're interested in learning more about Career Ready ATL, about being an employer host site for an apprenticeship, please reach out to Brooke Stahl. Her email address here on the screen is bstahl@careerriseatlanta.org. On the similar topic of apprenticeships, CareerRise is dedicated to helping employers around our region explore and develop apprenticeship as an innovative talent supply strategy. It is really blossoming around the country as a practice that has served the skilled trades very effectively for hundreds of years. And some of our other industries and businesses in this area have just kind of woken up to the idea that this is a really innovative and very return on investment-y. That's not a word, but it has a great return on investment from the reports and the studies we've seen on it. We would love to help you get started with your registered apprenticeship program if it's something you're interested in exploring. And there are funding opportunities available to help with that. We are especially interested in working with businesses that are in the transportation, distribution, and logistics industry. So warehouses, distribution centers, transportation companies, trucking companies would love to help you with creating some apprenticeships in your business. If you are interested in learning more about apprenticeships and how they can help you with your talent supply, please contact Corinne Cadet. Corinne's email address is kcadet@careerriseatlanta.org. Wow, these are just segueing so neatly. The next one that we have to talk about is a training program that supports the transportation, distribution, and logistics industry, and that is our Career Rise Prologis Learning Academy. This is an excellent way for learners to get some foundational skills in warehousing and distribution, and to get prepared for a career in that industry. There is always a need for workers in this industry in a variety of roles. We have watched wages increase for entry-level positions, which has been very encouraging. And it's a really high demand industry for our area. Metro Atlanta is and always has been one of the biggest supply chain hubs of America. And that shows up with having the busiest airport in the country or in the world, depending on who you ask. Um, Having companies like UPS headquartered here. So lots of great job opportunities in this industry. And this is a really excellent way for any customers you're serving to get some of those baseline skills that will help them succeed in these roles. We have two options for learners who are interested in developing their skills in this area. One is a self-paced program where students can enroll into our online learning platform, take classes at their own pace, and not only learn about those industry and occupation specific skills, but also can sharpen their skills in communication, teamwork, all those soft skills that employers are asking for a lot, as well as some career management skills like resume, cover letter writing, how to apply for jobs, how to interview, and then also a forklift certification that comes through the online learning platform as well. So we have a self-paced model, but we also have a cohort model where students can take those courses, but it's a little more structured and can attend some live webinar sessions where they'll get to hear directly from employers around our area about what jobs are like in this industry, what kinds of skills they need, how to grow and advance in their career in this industry, and culminate in a hiring event. So if this is of interest to you or any of the customers you're serving, please take note of the QR code here on the screen, share that link, and we also have the link in the chat. So please do share that with any customers who might be interested in starting their career in logistics. All right. Please stay connected with us. As I mentioned at the top of this call, this is our last regular scheduled webinar in our series. But that's not to say that our webinars are entirely going away. We're just going to have some more focused things coming out soon about topics that will be helpful for you as workforce practitioners and for employers as well. We definitely want to support the work you're doing and make workforce easier for you. So one of the best ways to stay in contact with us right now is to sign up for our digest. Cherie has dropped that link for you here in the chat. So please sign up for our email digest and keep an eye out for updates from us about webinars, programs, projects we have going on, updates from the community, events, all kinds of great stuff in that digest. Also, please connect with us on LinkedIn. We do have the CareerRise Industry Partnerships Network group. Would love to have you join us there. And also just follow CareerRise on LinkedIn. We communicate in both channels. I'm definitely more active on that main CareerRise page, but would love to have you join both of those and follow CareerRise on LinkedIn to keep up with what we have going on. You'll also be receiving a post-webinar survey. Please complete that for us. It helps us make sure that the content we provide is valuable and useful to you. And lastly, just wanted to say thank you from the CareerRise team. Really appreciate your time and attention today. And if we can be of help to you, if you have a workforce challenge, a workforce idea, something you really wanted to tackle but need a little extra support around, give us a call, give us an email. If we don't have the answer for it, we probably know someone who does. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.